I know that one of the big topics in the LCS has been visa issues. I know Team Liquid has had any. I know that you are also bringing in teams from overseas. Has it been all systems go? Has everything been smooth for your foreign players?
So from what I understand, a lot of the visa process really depends on who gets to adjudicate your case. And so for us, we were really lucky enough to apply for the visas and we work with a great team. So for this year, we should have no problems. Casper should be landing here either on Tuesday or Wednesday, and he should be the last person.
Okay, good. So, and Kobe, everything is fine there as well?
Yep.
Great, good to hear. So TSM fans rejoice. Everything seems to be all systems go on the visa front. Talk about Bootcamp. Obviously, initially China, over to Korea, maybe some IP challenges, Broken Blade as well. Just take us through the Bootcamp and some of the challenges and solutions there.
For sure. So obviously, when we wanted to go to China, we had a great host in LNG who reached out before even like we were talking back and forth even towards the end of last year. They agreed to host us, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to have a boot camp in China. We could activate with a lot of our fans there. We have close relationship with a lot of our teams since Peter Zhang, our coach, was working in the LPL and knows a lot of people there. Unfortunately, we had a lot of issues both with Broken Blade's visa because he's both a Turkish and German citizen. And also we had issues in terms of playing on the Korean server while in China, despite Riot already telling us that it would be okay. So we just decided both those reasons made it way more sense for us to just move our boot camp from China to Korea. Obviously, it was disappointing because we had a lot of great fan events and things that we had planned in China. But overall, we recognized the importance of boot camp was for the players to kind of be together and scrim. So we decided to make that a priority.
So I do want to ask how things went in Korea. We saw your team do some stuff with T1, Faker and Bjergsen together, obviously. But I want to ask, how did things go? How would you evaluate your time in South Korea now that you're back in the States?
For sure. So first of all, we have like TSM. The one thing is you have fans everywhere you go. So even when we went to Korea, we had both teams and fans like ready to like reach out and kind of welcome us there, which I'm really grateful for. I've loved every time I've been to Korea. In terms of like scrims, obviously we're like a new team. We were also scrimming we were still scrimming a lot of LPL teams while in Korea, and we only got to scrim a couple of Korean teams. I think our development from the beginning of the boot camp to the end was really good. Our bot lane finally got a chance to play multiple weeks together, and we're hoping to build on that synergy going into the split.
Hey, Parth, Darren here. I got a question about Kobe Bryant on TSM. No, about Kobe. Back in the LEC last summer, he needed about 29% of the team's gold share to really do the damage that he was going to be doing. Someone like Reckless needed 25% of the gold and put out better stats. What drew you to Kobe, and what kind of production are you expecting out of him in the first split?
Sure. So I think taking stats like that in isolation isn't really representative of the type of player they kind of are. When we spoke to Casper extensively, he said that he was the type of player that was really flexible in playing whatever style that is needed from him. And if you like see his career throughout the LEC or previously EU LCS, he's been able to demonstrate that he's able to play a lot of different roles for his team. Just happens that last year he was playing more of a carry role, and we're like really happy that he's willing to do that. So I'm really excited for this team. We have players who are able to shoulder the responsibility of carrying and leading the team, both mechanically and in terms of veteranship in the top, mid, and AD carry positions. So I don't really see it being like a stylistic issue for him being there.
Parth, can you give us a little bit, pull the curtain a little bit and just talk about how you approach the offseason in general? And in particular, I'm curious at how much do teams like yourself think of the ones at like a Team Liquid that many people would say is clear in a way the best team in the LCS today. How do you factor that into your decision making when you're revamping your roster and looking position by position?
Sorry, was the question how do we consider what TL is going to do when we
No. It's
change our roster?
what you're going to do, and how much do you factor in teams like Team Liquid? Like, how much of your decision making is we have to think about this best team versus what is available?
I mean, historically, TSM has always made changes in order to be successful, not only in the region but internationally. So we always go into every offseason making sure that we can look for every upgrade and change possible to give us the extra edge. So what TL was doing, while we did have considerations because Xmithy was going to be a free agent, outside of that, other changes that they were going to make really didn't impact our changes. Going into the offseason, basically, I think most teams look at a variety of factors. They start off with a core of players that they kind of want to keep, and then they look at every upgrade that is possible. And then it kind of just goes down to if we have this subset of players, how they work with the other subset that you're trying to keep, what kind of other coaching staff or infrastructure are you going to need to have in order to support this group of players. Do you have a plan for both the short term and the long term? If you have a contract for 1 or 2 years, what's the market going to look like at the end of next year in terms of like who's available? So there's a lot of factors that go into the roster building that people don't see outside of just, oh, they got an insane player or they didn't get a good player. But usually our number one priority is to make sure that we are as competitive as a team that we can be in the short term.
You mentioned Xmithy earlier. Obviously, you were in the race for him, as we reported, but you ended up with DarDoc, who is very much a very skilled player. We've seen him perform very well in the LCS and earn his reputation for being very good, but he's also earned a reputation in the past 4 years for being a little difficult to work with. How much is that as a concern moving forward, and how did he do in Bootcamp?
For sure. So obviously going into the offseason, this offseason had a lot of veteran junglers in North America being free agents. It was like Meteos, DarDoc, Xmithy. So we knew going into this offseason that we wanted a veteran jungler. We just needed to pick the style that suited us the most. We spoke to, like, out of all those players, we spoke to DarDoc initially. I know Peter Zhang had worked with him in the past, and we have a much more solid infrastructure to handle or to like work with a diverse set of players. So I think overall, the initial impression I got with DarDoc, even at the bootcamp, was that he's really passionate. He's really willing to like express what he wants to do or what he expects from other players. And I'm like pretty confident starting the season off with him as our starting jungler.
Parth, last question for you before we let you go. What are your thoughts on the new LCS schedule and playoff format?
I love the new playoff format for both spring and summer. I think it's gonna make every match really exciting, but also do the best job of sending the top 3 teams in the current form to the World Championships, which I think was the biggest priority that we were pushing for. Like a lot of the owners were pushing for this year. I think in terms of the regular season, obviously it's going to be harder for LCS to be spread across 3 days, and we don't really know what impact it's going to have on viewership and all of those factors. But I do love the idea. I want to shout out Derek Dennis from Riot on pushing for Academy to have more games on stage. I think it's changes like these slow incremental changes that's going to give more players a passionate drive to join Academy and improve. So overall, I think on the regular season, I'm not really sure for LCS, but in terms of the playoffs, I'm really excited to see all the fans enjoy the new format.
Parth is the general manager of TSM, joining us here on the ESPN Esports League Kickoff Show. Thank you very much for your time.
Yep, thanks.